right, everyone, I'm here with my very special guest, Nadege Fleurimond. Nadege, please say hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I like that very special part. Thank you.
I mean, my guests are very special people, and I want them to know, and I want the world to know it, you know?
I know now. Thank you very much, Rita. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And it's been like, I don't know, in the making, right? We keep talking about getting you on the show and then it never happens, but we're trying to be intentional in 2021.
There you go. There you go. There you go. We're doing it. We're doing it.
So Nadege, I know there are a lot of people out there who do know who you are, but for those that do not, please let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Nadege Fleurimond, and I am a perpetual entrepreneur, multi-passionate entrepreneur here in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Haiti, came here when I was 7. So I was raised in Brooklyn. The only time I left Brooklyn was when I went to school in Manhattan for 4 years. And then I came right back because I just love me Brooklyn. I run a catering business. I've run a catering business for the last 18 years, which I started while a junior at school. And it just kind of flourished from there. That's what most people know me from, is through the food space. I've written 3 books about food. I love incorporating food and culture and people and thoughts and feelings. So most of my cookbooks are about like food, but a little more. Mm-hmm. And then I also run a real estate practice here with my partner, Cindy Peters, where we help our community with purchases and sales, but our real passion also is investing in real estate. And we flip houses, but we really want to get the community involved and understand the value of home ownership, right? So we do a lot of education around home ownership. And then my third main business is I run an entrepreneurship coaching practice. I help creative entrepreneurs like myself to turn their passion-based businesses into profit, because I've been blessed in the sense that I've been able to make a living out of the things that I love. And I want others to understand, because I think oftentimes society or families or friends try to push us in the other direction. But I'm a strong believer, if we're going to make a living anyways, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. I love me the 9 to 5. That's what your calling is, because also not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. But if you do have the desire to be an entrepreneur and you have something you're passionate about, I am that cheerleader that's going to tell you it is possible, because I've lived it. But not just cheer you on, but I also help you develop the systems and strategies needed to turn that passion to profit. Because sometimes you just want to be a singer and it's a hobby and it's not something you want to monetize, and that's also okay. So I help individuals that's ready to go over that hump. It's like, no, I'm good at this, but I like to make some money with it too.
Okay. I heard a lot of different things. I heard chef, I heard real estate guru, I heard life coach, I heard so many different things. So
like we didn't even mention the e-commerce store.
And then there's, let's talk about it. There's the IPAV line. I love the IPAV line.
Because again, I'm a true believer, like the things that I love, for me, they become seamless, right? So they become seamless in terms of incorporating them into my lifestyle. So that's why I label myself a lifestyle entrepreneur, because it's like the things that are important to me, I realize other people want to know about them too. And then it touches people in some kind of way. So I always call myself a professional IPAV. IPAV is like a Haitian Creole slang word that loosely translates to bum. But I just remember as a kid, right? Our parents would be like, whenever we did something they didn't deem of value, it's like, you're such an IPAV. Look at you going to hang out with your friends. Look at you going to the club. So in my older years as an entrepreneur, I'd be traveling and people be like, where are you now? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm a professional IPAV. I'm in Barcelona. Why are you at the gym at noon? I'm a professional. So it becomes synonymous with living life on your terms. That's what it translates to me. And that's what I try to put out there. So my whole story is based on like these cute sayings, but also kind of like it's where I put all the products and things that I create. Because I am a creative and I need to get it out, and I've accepted that a long time ago. but it's putting it out in a structured way as well. Because I think multi-passionates, sometimes you can come across as scattered.
Yeah, all
right?
over the place.
All over the place. And so for that, I don't like that, because for me, I'm very serious about everything I take on. Not only I'm serious about it because it's things that I love, but it's also, I really do want to monetize them, right? So for me to monetize them, I need structure.
You're about that money.
I'm about that money, right? Because I'm trying to be on a beach somewhere and retire, right?
Yep.
No, the beach is hot. I don't like the beach. And the one person, I'm like, why don't you go to the beach? It's hot. The sun is just beating down on you.
I love the beach, but but I like the water aspect of it. I like the water.
I like water. I'm an adventure traveler. But yeah, so for me, it was like, okay, so I created the store as always. I create food products. I have my books. I needed a place to host them. I created a beautiful apron line inspired from my food, inspired by Haiti. I wanted a place to host that, the t-shirts. So the store is kind of like the physical manifestations of the things that I love. And if somebody wants to connect to those things and have them in their homes, they can. So those are the businesses.
the businesses. And
none of them are side hustles. Businesses.
Well, you know what? And it's a great thing to actually like point out, because a lot of people, they would be like, oh yeah, all these, like they call their businesses side hustles, and they're kind of, I feel like you're diminishing from what it is when you're like, oh, this is just a side hustle, when it's a whole business.
It can be a side hustle, but I think the level of seriousness you put on it determines how you view it. And I think saying side hustle is not, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's just an understanding that, you know what, this is not my priority. To me, that's what side hustle means, right? For me, I'm not saying that's what it is. It's important, but it's not a priority. Given the choice, I wouldn't be doing this. I would be doing this other thing.
Yeah.
So for me, when I say my businesses, they all have to exist. It's not like something like I can let go of, because they all have a place and have different roles.
So I feel like, the more I speak to you, I always find that defining terms matters, because as you went into that explanation, I'm like, but I know a lot of people who are calling their businesses side hustles because they're not understanding what you just said, like the priority aspect of it, right? Because I find a lot of people are pouring so much energy, so much money, so much time, and they're treating it seriously. But I think when you tell somebody else, oh, this is a side hustle, it's like, okay, what is resonating in that other person's mind? And are people taking you seriously on the outside? So,
yeah. And that's a good point, because I think the terms you use, right? It's kind of like they say, how you show up also tell people how to treat you, right? So I think, defining it. Again, like I said, I don't even think there's anything wrong with the term side hustle, but I think it also lets you know, it's kind of like dating, seeing somebody, we're talking, right? I don't know what any
I'm
of them
notorious for the talking.
I'm a grumble. I don't even know what that is, right? When they are, right? So, but each one resonates or says something different, right? To people who understand the terms.
Yeah.
So I think for me, even if it's something that you put in 10 hours, it doesn't mean you spend your full time in it. A side hustle could be 10 hours, but those 10 hours could be making you, like there were times like during the pandemic when my store was making me over $10,000 a month. I'm not calling that a side hustle. No. You know what I'm saying?
That's real money, cash money.
That's real money. That's like, oh, that's a whole business, right? So maybe for people, the defining factor may be a monetary amount. Maybe for some others, it's time. So I think for me, the determining factor is how serious do I take it? Priority is what I base, whether it's a hustle or if it's something, if it's a whole business. So to the extent that I give it priority, and I know 10 hours a week, 5 hours a week, whatever it is, I'm dedicated to making these things happen, then it's my only side hustle, maybe like my Instagram live, right? Because if we're like, we can't make it happen, it's like, I'll fellow swimming, we'll do it next week. That would consider a side hustle, but it brings me no money. So as soon as I monetize it, trust me, it's a whole business.
Listen, we all can stand to learn a little from Nadege Fleurimond, because she literally monetizes everything. And I think that it's really important, especially for women, because a lot of times we are, we have these tools at our disposal, we have these talents, but we allow others, or maybe we don't allow others. It could just be our actual mindset at somebody who does different things that quote unquote don't coincide, or at least, objectively coincide. You're somebody who's scatterbrained, you're all over the place, you're a jack of all trades, master of none. I like to tell people I'm a jack of all trades, master of some, because, there are some things that I'm whatever. And then there are other things, there are many things that I'm good at, and I'm not gonna, back down from that. So yes. I like the fact that, you are this, I guess this representative of how you can make everything work, or at least make the things that you want to work.
Yeah, and it's important because, like I said, you don't just get there overnight either, because I think it's a process, right? There's two things you mentioned. I think as women, there is this, we've been socialized that money, like we shouldn't be so money driven, right? We should do things because we like it, it's nice or whatever, and that's cool. And I'm a believer in that because I am very passion focused, right? That's why I had to leave my day job, because to the extent that I'm not passionate about it, it's not happening for me, right? So I need that driving force. But at the same time, I need to pay my bills. I have goals of things that I want in this life, So I'm a woman of a certain age. It's too late to get a sugar daddy, so I gotta work.
It's never too late, sister. I've been watching Instagram. It is never too late. If you're passionate about the sugar daddy.
But my knees are not as good as they used to be, so I know.
Nothing little Louis Masquetti won't hurt, right?
Everything. So knowing these things, I understand they can coexist. I can be passion focused, passion driven, community driven, and still want to get paid. So you'll always hear somebody say, perhaps you'll be like, oh, Nadege, she don't play. She's all about her business. They can't, but that also exists with in the same vein as, oh my God, Nadege, you can call on her for anything. She can give, she'll give. If she has time, she'll donate, she'll give money. They all can coexist. And I don't think like us as women have to choose wanting a great lifestyle, wanting to make money with like being money hungry and not caring about other things. The other aspect in terms of being scatterbrained is this, like at the end of the day, some of us are, right? We can be, and I've been there. Because it took me a long time for myself, for one, to come to terms that I was not just a chef. I did not want to be. As much as so many people saw me in that light, and it's like, oh my God, you're a great caterer, and this is all my friends saw for me. And I'm like, it's not fulfilling my soul, because I'm also passion driven. I knew that my impact was more than just here's a nice plate of food, more belle plate manger, and it tastes good. I knew that my impact was in impacting people to live their dreams. I knew that and understood that, but I didn't really know what that meant, right? I didn't know coaching existed at the time. It's just that I've always been that person that everybody reaches out to, like Nadege, like she's either gonna cheer you on, push you over the edge, or beat you over the head, but she's going to motivate you. So I didn't know how exactly I was going to play that out. But having that anchor in something really makes it easier to do other things. The anchor could be one in the learning structure. My catering business showed me a lot in terms of entrepreneurship and business development as a whole, right? I learned networking through that business. I learned budgeting. I learned so much, marketing, all of that, because I went through the recession. When I first started catering, I was mainly corporate. And then 2008, 2009 hit, and I was like, oh my God, these corporations don't even want milk and cookies. They like, yo, just budget. No, put it low, that's it. Actually, never mind, we'll get it from the tap. Like, so you have to reinvent, so I learned how to always innovate and create through that business, right? So having that anchor and foundation and building something great also helped me now be able to establish other things. So I think oftentimes for multi-passionates like myself, we're trying to build 5 empires at the same time. And that can be problematic, both within in terms of our own mental health, in terms of our time, in terms of everything, and then just in terms of you being able to give your all. But once you have built one empire, it makes it easier because you've already met people along the way that you know who to call to make that flyer happen in 2 seconds, instead of you going through Fiverr and running through 77 people that suck.
Yep.
And then now you're 2 weeks behind, right? So you've already learned how to manage your time, because again, initially you think entrepreneurship, I can do what I want, when I want, how I want. So you learn those systems through sometimes having that anchor. So I tell people, and then also too, that money, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to start businesses when you don't have money. As much as, yes, I started my catering business out of my dorm suite. I was at Columbia. I was studying political science. At that time, it was a side hustle because I was just making money that I didn't anticipate to make. But at the end of the day, I was within an environment that provided me the shelter where I didn't need so much money capital to start, because I wasn't trying to start big. I just was like, catering for my friends. My friends were running the Black Student Association. They were hiring me. Like I had that built-in network. So once I started building my business, even when I left my job, because I worked for Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who was in the city council at the time, because I was in politics. I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. Let me go work in government, which was a great move, by the way, because so many of my clients came out of that field. And then I just wasn't, I was like, damn, I can't do both, right? Because government takes so much of your time, your evenings and everything like that. And I was like, I want to cater on the weekends. I don't care if I'm attending a $200 per person gala for free. If I want to be doing something else, it's a burden. That's why people always say, I wish I could, I wanted to be an influencer, right? And I was like, oh my God, these people take beautiful pictures and they're getting free stuff and free money. I do that stuff and I'm like, this is work. I don't like it. So to the extent you're doing something you don't like, it's work, right? Yeah. So I was just like, this is a great field, but I don't get to do what I want to do. So eventually I left, and I only left with like $980 in my bank account, but I was 22, no kids, no nothing. So I wanted less then. I wouldn't do that now. Now I'm like, wait, how am I going to take a trip? How am I going to invest in the stock market? You're thinking of all these adult things. But it was a blessing that I did it that early, because you have more courage when you're young, right? You don't have the burdens of life. But doing that, it was easier to build because, one, the type of business, right? I didn't have a restaurant. I had a catering company where as money came, I could use it to build, right? I wasn't spending money to build the business. It was more like you make money as you're getting paid. So it's easier, but there's other businesses that I wanted to do. I needed the money. So have the structure of that initial anchor of something that brings you money, that has foundation, then you can build something else in easier. And that's another way of being less scattered. And also you're not like trying to make 5 things work with no money, when you can have that one that's feeding your other passions. Sorry, Rita.
Listen, this is it's a show, right? We're supposed to talk. So now, your approach to business, I think your approach to life is a little different from how most women would view life, business, and things like that, right? I don't want to say that, a lot of women are less confident, but I think that I wouldn't be wrong to say that, right? And there's reasons for that. It's not saying that it's not like we can't become confident, but there are a lot of barriers, a lot of obstacles, and a lot of that stems from childhood, right? We're Black women living in America, racism. There's so many things that kind of eat and tick at our self-esteem from young. And as we grow to become women, we're not necessarily the strongest. So we shy away from different moves because we don't have that courage that you speak of, right? So I guess where did your courage and confidence stem from? How did you become this mogul, Nadege Fleurimond? Like, where'd that spirit come from?
That's a great question, because it's funny, because not only are we dealing with issues of racism, we're dealing with patriarchy, right? But in a sense, it's patriarchy, I guess, that has made me the way I am, because in a sense that I mentioned this a lot, my dad, right? I was raised by a single father. And as crazy and as hard as that was, because he is very strict, he's very old school Haitian, he's very difficult. but there's a lot of good things that came out of that, because there's a courage that I think men have, right? It's just like we could talk about white privilege, but there's also male privilege, right? Whatever race you may be, right? Because no matter, almost wherever you go in the world, for the most part, right, men are usually the ones in control. So I think I benefited from that in a way, because my dad was always like that person, like, what's up? Like, I remember we went to a grocery store. I just came from Haiti. I was like 7, almost 8 years old. And then I saw a police officer, and I kind of like hid behind him. The police officer came into the store. Because you're from Haiti. You're like, you don't play with authority. So, what's wrong with you? You do know he works for you, right? Wow. Like, you do know, like, police officers work for you. Like, he was explaining all these things. So I was like, there's a confidence that men have that, I always like the meme where the woman walks by the mirror and she's gorgeous, but she's like, oh my God, look at the bags under my eyes. My stomach is so big. I look like this and all of these things. The guy, Miguel, his stomach is out to here. When he looks in the mirror, though, he sees Adonis.
Isn't that ironic?
But it's really true, right? Because no matter what a man looks like, there's a confidence. He has this thing like, yo, I got this, right? So part of it is my dad, because I think males just generally have that, and he basically implanted in me. The other part is, I think I accepted a long time ago, and this came a lot from reading. And I attribute this to Maya Angelou a lot, because I read her books when I was an avid reader. I wouldn't read nothing because I don't have the attention. But I was an avid reader because I had no friends as growing up, right? It was just me. So I remember reading I Know What a Caged Bird Sing. I was like 9, 10 years old, and I'm reading these very adult books. But I think I accepted long time ago that you don't have to be the best. And not being the best doesn't mean you're not great. If that makes sense.
Say that again, please. Say that again, please, because it's resonating with me. Growing up in Haitian household where excellence is the only marker. Yes. I think a lot of us suffered from that. So please say that again. Say that again.
I had that too. So I had to fight that with my dad. It's like, 98, what happened to the other 2?
I almost got kicked out of my house in 3rd grade for getting a bad grade in math because I'm not a math person. She legit.
3rd grade?
3rd grade. I will never forget it. She legitimately and literally told me that you will not live here anymore if you come back in this house with these grades for math. So I'm triggered. I
understand. But I think Maya Angelou, in her writing, there's a vulnerability that she exudes, but it also was a strength in it as well. So I accepted at a very early age that fucking up is okay, not being the best is okay, not being the tallest is okay, not being the prettiest is okay, not being this, whatever society has deemed as whatever the ultimate should be, even if you're not that, it's okay, because it's kind of like when they say you're the secret sauce, like whatever combination you have, it's perfectly okay for whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
So I think I built myself up with these kind of like beliefs at an earlier age, unknowingly, that they later paid off, because I tell people that through entrepreneurship, you're going to mess up. Like, it's just something that happened. But I was never defined by my failures, and I think a lot of times women were just like, oh my God, it went wrong. It's like the marriage didn't work out. Oh my God, I'm no good. As opposed to, no, this was no good. This was not a right situation. And maybe it was a wrong choice on your part, but it's a part. It's not the whole, So I think we have to really get in the habit of understanding, like, life is indeed a journey, right? And then there are going to be different encounters and different points. Sometimes, you're going to, it's kind of like the baby, right? They're walking, they keep trying to get up to walk, but they fall. But I think us as adults, we kind of like forget that. We kind of like let go of that spirit as we get older. Like, we let those failures define us and weigh us down. And in a sense, we end up not trying.
Yeah. I think that that's really important what you said, because I feel like even with myself, I have off and on periods, right? That happens, and I tell people that it is okay as long as you recognize that this is negativity happening right now, and that give yourself a day to sit in it maybe, and then move forward, because it happens. Then you do that, right? You say things like, well, it's my fault. Like I had a project that I was working on with others, and people were falling off, and I'm like, is it because they don't think I'm important? And I'm like, to even have that conversation, it's like, what am I doing? So I think it's really important, particularly for women, not to say that men don't have these issues, they don't have these same conversations, but I think that it's really important that women understand, because I think we're usually we're easier to come to those negative conclusions and be in those negative spaces, and allow others' opinions to define us. So I think that part's really important. I think that's...
You're right. And I think we do, as much as it's sad, but it is true, because again, most societies, most cultures, as a woman, you're brought up to please. You're brought up to please your parents. You're brought up to please your dad. You're brought up to please your brothers. You're brought up to please
strangers.
Your man.
Strangers that you don't know.
Everybody, right? Exactly. Because it's kind of like, oh my God, look what they said about you, right? What is the neighbors? So it's like we are always like on. It's always kind of like, oh, we have to be on, as opposed to like men get to be,
mediocre. They get to be whatever they want.
They're going to apply for that job. They're like, oh, I don't qualify. Let me apply.
I don't even have a degree, and it said master's. I don't have an associate's.
What? It may be my day. And you know what? Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But we don't even allow ourselves that grace and that opportunity to even go for it a lot of times. But I think through these conversations, and like you said, when you hear others, and then you understand like, oh, wow, this kind of self-talk happens among a lot of people, then you can kind of like halt yourself and say, this is what's happening right now. Like you said, sometimes you're like, oh, but I'm processing this. Why am I even having this conversation with myself? What's really at play here? Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it.
So in your coaching business, right? Because I want to talk about that a little bit before, we end. What do you find to be the biggest challenge in coaching, particularly women, right? Because we want to talk about women today. Mostly women, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of your biggest challenges in coaching women?
Well, like as you said, I think we just had the whole conversation about it. I think with women, it's really this belief like, are people going to like it? Are people going to like me? Am I really that great, right? I've coached, like I said, this is before I even started coaching. I realized I was always that first person to believe in people, or at least to tell people. Maybe others believed in them, but I was like, but you got this. You're a great stylist. You got this. You're a great, whatever it is, clothing designer. You're a great, like, earring maker. Like, I always believed in people, but it seems like, and I tell people that most of my people I know, they're so talented. I was like, if I had half your talent,
you'd be Oprah.
I'd be Oprah. Because I see some greatness in these people, yet you see them doubting themselves. So doubt is the biggest thing most women, business owners, I see that they face. Because it's kind of like they're always wondering, like, are people going to receive the product? Are people going to like the jacket they created? Are people going to like the app that they're thinking about? And I'm like, these are brilliant ideas and brilliant concepts, but there is always not even a how, because funny enough, I feel like when a woman makes a decision, she figures out the how, but it's even getting to that point where even believing it's possible. And it always comes with self-doubt. It's the self-doubt that stops a lot of them. And again, it's all questioning, what will people say? What if they mess up? Because once you are in business, you do become public, property, right? So people are going to say what they want to say, and you are going to mess up. And don't let nobody tell you not, like you are, But it's what you do with it, right? As cliche as it is, as it sounds, is, are you failing forward? Like, what are you learning? How are you growing? How are you developing? Like, when I look, like, I used to do cooking classes, and I saw the little aprons. I used to use these plastic white aprons. I was like, oh, I got lead. You know, like, it's so ugly. Like, why would I do that in a cooking class, right? And then I was like, oh, and then I looked 5 years later, they had little green aprons. And now I'm like, wow, I have a whole apron line, right? How are you learning and growing through it? But I think we're so focused on not being quite there, thinking that you have to start already having everything figured out. And I'm telling you, I think it's a book. I never read it, but I like the title. I think it's like Fire, Aim or something like that. It's like you fire. And I'm a believer in that because the real growth and the real learning is in the doing.
Yeah.
You have to do it. How are you going to know what Rita likes, if you don't create the locks?
Exactly. Listen, I might stick with this. I might stick with it.
So for you to know, like, it looks really good.
Thank you.
But you need to do it though, so she can go under your post and tell you what she loves about it. You have to create it to know, like, oh wow, I can't ship this 3-day shipping because it's gonna rot in the mail. I have to do 1 day. You have to do it. It's only in doing, because you can have a beautiful concept all you want, but until you do it, for you to really live through it, and any big multi-billion-dollar business will tell you that you have to, the product testing has to happen on the real market. So you just have to start. So the first thing I always, like, when I coach, I'm always like, we need a date. Like, I always make people put dates on stuff because we also get, like, what is that paralysis? It's called, it's not coming to you know what I'm talking about,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But a lot of people say, oh, I'm a perfectionist. I like things to be great. But you're just using that as an excuse to procrastinate because you're fearful a lot of times, So then I'm usually like, oh, okay, yeah, you want to start the podcast? What would it take to whatever? We talked briefly about it. I was like, okay, so June 18th? Does that work? Oh, no, that's too soon. Oh, why is it too soon? Well, I need 2 weeks. So we make a timeline. Because we get overwhelmed by the mountain, not realizing it's one little step at a time. So I always get my clients to break it down, chunk it down. And by giving them a date, they have to be honest with themselves in terms of what does it really take to bring this to fruition, or what's stopping me? What are the people that I need? What are the things that I need to get in place? And it's really that. I tell people coaching, it's simple, it's hard at the same time, right? Because it's a lot of accountability and a lot of honesty with yourself. I don't have a magic wand and I can't make people do what they don't want to do, know? But what I am here to do is to push you to actually address, some of the things, excuses that you may be using, and then also provide you some of the resources that I've learned along the way, right? Of what works and what hasn't worked. So, yeah. Yeah,
no, now I'm like thinking, I'm like, paralysis, like, what is it again?
Yeah, what's that word?
There's a word for it, but
there's a word before the paralysis part. We'll figure it out as soon as the show ends.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be like, Nadesh, I got it.
Somebody's gonna post it under the thing as we're talking. So as you end the show.
Oh man, Nadege. I'm just, there's so many gems that, the gem dropping, I like using that term, gems that were dropped during this call, because I find that, again, and this is information that anybody can benefit from. But, I like to, focus on the sisters at times, because I see, just being around women, being a woman myself, that there is a lacking. And we need to figure it out in order for us to really, like, succeed the way that we want to succeed, right? So I really, I've known you for a long time, and I can't remember when I first met you, but I know that I've
Was at Fordham? Was it at Fordham when I catered that event?
It was way before that, because I've been part of that the Hack Network forever. So it was, but I don't think we ever really spoke, but I always knew who you were. And so I've seen you from back when you were catering, just catering, to now, and I'm like, she has all these businesses and everything is still seamless. Nobody is saying, she's all over the place. What's going on here? And even if they are, then you're like, this person might be a hater, there's a reason, you know what I mean? So I think that, and just being in different rooms with you, just seeing how women, when they're like, Nadege is in the room. We were in a clubhouse the other day, and we had a man that was just like, if Nadege is here, I gotta be here. And he brought his whole tribe into the clubhouse room. I was like, what power does this woman have? So, so I really appreciate you even taking the time and doing this show, but then also really teaching women how to not just, turn their passion into profits, but just teaching them that it's possible to really do whatever it is that you want to do, and to have this unapologetic, sense of yourself, I think is what's important. So, thank you for providing these platforms.
That's important. Like, you can do it, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. Yeah. Like you said, like, you don't have to be great at everything, but at the end of the day, you won't know until you try. It really is that simple. So it's okay that, you wanted to do this and it didn't work out. Go start something else.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, and I learned not to care what people think a long time ago, because again, you're living this life for you and on your own, like I said, your own accord in a way, right? Like, the same people talking, most of the people talking are not even people you can approach and go ask for help. So why would you even care?
They're not even doing. Their job is to comment. That is their job. And then I get paid for it.
That is true. So you just really have to focus. And this is going back to women. I do believe in having a strong support system. It is very important. Like I always tell people, if a woman, I'm a big believer in that. I think there's no better people to have around you than other women, and powerful women. I say, I'm an alpha female, but I'm surrounded by other alpha females. It's not like, and being an alpha female doesn't mean that you're trying to rule, you're trying to be the leader. It just means that you get shit done, but it also means that you are about empowering people. Alphas empower others. So it's not a competition thing. You're not worried about Rita's doing her stuff because you're just like, yeah, I'm doing my stuff. You want her to do her stuff because that's the kind of energy you want around you. So I'm very big on ensuring that you surround yourself with other amazing people that are doing amazing things, or at least want to do amazing things. I always tell people, I don't mind if I meet a man and he don't got like the $1 million, but what's the plan, right? What's the plan? Like, you have to have ambition. Show me the blueprint. Show me something. So for me, ambition is like probably the sexiest trait that I find. And I get into arguments with my women friends. I'm like, what you doing? Like, what's next? I learned not to nag people as much, but my main thing is if somebody is around you and they say they want something, I'm going to be that person. Oh, you said you wanted this. Like, what's happening with it? Yeah. And you want that people around you, because I'll have those people. As much as I'm very motivated, but sometimes I slack, right? So I need that person who's like, but Nadege, you said you were going to work on this. What's happening? I'll give you an example. One of my biggest projects, and it's been years in the making, is a kitchen project. And maybe that's the thing that overwhelms me, because maybe I'm a little scared. I don't even know, because it's such a big commitment, because I'm a Sagittarius. We have commitment issues.
Yes, we do. But we're great people, though. Amazing people with commitment issues.
Yes. Oh my God, I was in a clubhouse room. They're like, oh my God, the Sagittarius, you're toxic. I was like, how are we toxic?
I saw the same thing on a thread. I'm like, we are not toxic people.
I was like, well, I was like, the only thing you will say about a Sagittarius is that we may have a little commitment issues, but only if you don't fit the criteria, right?
Exactly. You got to fit the mold.
And he was like, oh, you don't think that's toxic? I was like, ooh, who hurt you, boo? You need to heal.
And we tell the truth, too. Like, we're honest. It's sometimes in not the best way, but we're telling you the truth.
Very undiplomatically honest.
I'm not diplomatic at all. I have to work at being diplomatic.
But it's good when you have people around you, because I have a couple of friends, my friend Nancy, my friend Gracie, they're always like, so what's up with the kitchen? Like, I thought you were working on it. I was like, well, the space that I was going to use, it didn't work. So, that the only place in Brooklyn? What's up? Like, what? Like, they keep pushing me, and I'm like, you want that. So now, because they're like here in my ears every couple of months, every month, they're checking up on it. I make it a priority. And I'm reminded again that, one, and as you said, this was important to you, has something changed. So what's stopping you? What's the roadblock? So you need people in your life that's going to push you forward. And not only sometimes people in your life that's going to push you forward, we do have self-doubt. We do have limiting beliefs. So sometimes you need people to see you even greater than you see yourself, right? Yeah. You don't want people that's going to be like, Rita, I always want to do something big. You don't need that kind of energy. You need that person that's like, but Rita, I know you're doing this, but why aren't you doing that? Like, because you're great, you're amazing. You could go here, and you're like, I didn't think I could do that. And then they're like, yeah, you could, because you've done this, you've done that. You need those kind of people, because sometimes it is through that person's vision, you're able to see yourself greater, and you start to believe. So that's why sometimes when you don't have the little courage yourself, You need the zummies and the friends that's gonna be like, no, come on, you could do it.
Yep.
You got this, and it helps.
Yeah, no, it definitely helps. I have several people in my life that are, up in the chat groups or just like, you're amazing. And it's like, I am, aren't I? So now let me be amazing.
Exactly, because you're like, they believe in me so much. Let me go and be.
Yep. Let me not let them down.
Yes. And sometimes it is about that. And that's okay. Whatever is going to be something that moves you forward.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like we can go on forever and ever. So we are going to have we're going to have a part 2. We're definitely going to have a part 2 to this.
I'm definitely open to that. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Like you said, the time went by so fast. I feel like
know.
we're having a conversation in our living room. Well, I am in my living room.
Listen, this pandemic has redefined and reshaped how we do, interviews now. But I want to give you this opportunity, though, to shout out your businesses. How can people contact you? Where can they get the coaching? Where can they get the book, the apron, the hip-hop t-shirts, real estate, all of it?
Yes, buy houses with me, sell your house with me. I just got a great listing, so I'm super happy about that in Crown Heights. But yeah, no, everything is on my Instagram. Instagram is mainly where I live, Nadege Fleurimond, as my name is written. You can find me because through my personal branding page, you can see everything else that I do. And I'm a believer in that. I'm like, my brand is an umbrella of everything else because who I stand for and who I am is that same person in all my businesses, whether it's coaching, whether it's catering, whether it's, real estate. So you're going to get that. So you can definitely follow me on Instagram. And, I just, my book, Taste of Solitude, is back in stock. It's a book that I wrote during the pandemic. It's called Taste of Solitude, a culinary journal. So it's on both Amazon as well as my website, Warrior Shop, which is ROARIOR shop.com. So you can see all my wonderful things via those 2 platforms. So thank you so much, Rita, for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, sister. All right. So thank you everyone for tuning into another episode of According to RP on WJMS Radio, powered by Black Ivy Media. It's your girl, Rita Pierre, your host. And as always, I'll talk to you guys next week.